Welcome to the Shakaama Live Show with your host, Shakaama. I hope to impart wisdom anytime that I make a video on my channel here at YouTube. This rant is called Zero Consequences. Now, from time to time, I will watch clips of a TV show, and invariably, they're always some sort of drama-filled setting, right? Among other things, the most recent one that I watched was on a Dr. Phil show where the wife, the ex-wife, had told the daughter that the ex-husband had molested her constantly. This went on for 16 years. So finally, they come onto the Dr. Phil show and the ex-husband takes a polygraph test, lie detector test. The administrator of the polygraph test said this guy passed it with a +8. And they say, well, what does that mean? Is that close? He says, no, it's not close at all. You would need a +2. He was over and above and beyond completely confident that what he was saying was true and that he did not ever touch the girl. Now, here's the problem. The show shows zero consequences of what happens next. Zero. This is why we have these social justice warriors running around. This is why we have feminists running around. At no point did any of these people get spankings and say, no, you can't go around lying on people. No, you can't have it your way. No, you can't think evil of people, ruin their reputation, and zero consequences happen because of that. This is why I even made the Toby Turner videos. This is why I even made the Bill Cosby videos, because I saw an injustice and I wanted to point out that there are zero consequences for these women making false allegations, false claims. If I were sitting on the bench, I would immediately call for her to be arrested and held in contempt of court for up to a few years, just for coming into my court, making false allegations in front of me. And people say, well, that will put a dampener on women coming forward. It puts a dampener on men coming forward. You don't even hear about men rape trials. And men are raped more than women. Zero consequences. Zero consequences of ruining somebody's reputation. Saying that they molested a child. Saying that they raped some woman. Saying that they are violent. Zero consequences. And there's zero consequences for the police going along with it. This is why we are in this state right now. This is why we have these pansy men running around. Pansy men. Okay. You're right. You're right, girlfriend. We're not girlfriends. You're right, lady. Don't call me a lady. I'm a woman. I'm a strong woman. There's no strength in a woman. That is not a characteristic of a female human at all on anybody's slate. And for you to want to be strong says all sorts of misconceptions and psychological damage going on in your head. Zero consequences. And then the daughter doesn't even turn to the ex-husband, her father, and say, I'm sorry that you went through this. Zero consequences. I have a group of kids that are around here. Right. So there's a lady 2 doors down and she has 3 boys, 3 little boy. One is like, the oldest is like 7 years old. And she has three small boys. And so all the other children in the neighborhood come around and playing. And then they come around and play in my house. And because I'm a guy, a male figure, and they're all boys, there's the lone girl that happens, and I tell the girl, I say, what are you doing around these boys? First of all, you need to be around some girls. And there are no girls around here. Well, you need to go find some, first of all. You need to be with your own kind. It doesn't make sense for you to hang around a bunch of boys. Because as soon as they get rough with you, you're going to start crying, and then there's going to be a whole bunch of mess. And I make sure that there's consequences at any time I'm around. They say something bad to each other. Say, hey, whoa, stop, time out. No, can't do that around me. You apologize to him and stop doing that. And I can see it in their eyes that they have never even been and never even heard. That has never even crossed the realm of possibility of anybody saying that. There's some other kids from the other street over. My street, the kids are actually raised. And from house to house, various adults will step out on the front porch and say, hey, you kids, don't do this. Get out of the street. Get off the fence. Don't climb on that, you know? So my street is more how black people used to be. The street behind me has other kids, and they come over to play with these kids. I can tell they've never even heard of no. I can tell they've never even heard of don't. So when I say it to them, you could see the wheels turning in their heads, going, what? Wait, what? What does no mean? What does don't mean? Where does that come from? I've never heard of that before. And they curse and they say nasty, non-kid stuff. You know what I mean? Adult stuff. I said, okay, you all are on restriction. No more internet for any of you. Turn in your phones, everything. How can you put us on restriction? 'Cause I'm bigger than you. 'Cause I'm bigger than you. And the girl said, 'cause he'll beat you up. Of course, that didn't sound, I'm not going to beat you up, but they appeal to somebody in a position of authority, older, wiser. And I always do it. I always couch everything that I say as far as don't, no, and don't do this and get down from there. I always couch it in, this is not something that good boys do. You want to be a good boy because being a good boy is good. That's why the term is there. And just in a matter of just a couple of days or a couple of meetings or a couple of play sessions, I don't know if I was doing the playing. And I told them, you all can't come play around here. I'm like 5 times your age. Then they started apologizing. Then they started saying, thank you. Then they started calling me Mr. They don't know my name, so they just call me Mr. We're going to work up to them actually getting some sort of etiquette around them and saying, perchance, could you introduce yourself? You know, something like that. But when I went to the store, they've volunteered to walk me, which was a good thing because I just worked out the day before and I was sore, and then I walked across the desert. This is Las Vegas. There's desert everywhere. And of course the desert has a bunch of rocks and cactuses and broken bottles from ratchet people throwing their bottles and breaking them in the middle of the desert. So had I fallen down or something like that, the little girl had a cell phone that was fantastic. But I mean, just a little bit of discipline, just a little bit of no, just a little bit of don't. But this generation, my generation, grew up with no consequences whatsoever. Oh, and I know a whole bunch of, all of the KKK white supremacist people who are subscribed to me are going to come onto my channel and say, oh yeah, all those black people. No, I'm not talking about black people. I'm talking about my generation. I grew up with white people. I didn't grow up with black people. So any observation that I'm talking about white people. I'm not talking about black people. My generation, all these millennials grew up with zero consequences. And they had to be appeased. Well, I'm offended for these millennials, for them saying, I'm offended. They're expecting a response of, oh, I'm going to quit doing that because you're offended. They haven't ever had any consequence of The world does not center around you. In fact, the world completely hates you. And there is nothing that you can do that is going to get the world to do anything for you. All of these feminists, the homosexual agenda, the Jewish Zionist agenda, all of this stuff stems from people who, when they said, well, that hurt my feeling, nobody turned around and said, well, nobody cares about you. Nobody cares if you live or die. Well, I'm not making as much money as him. Probably because either you didn't speak up and say, give me more money, or two, you're not doing as hard of a job as he is, or technically, or quickly. I should make more money. Why? Nobody's ever stopped and said, why should you be making more money? Because I'm not making enough money. No. That's not an explanation of why you think you need to make more money. Tell me why you think you need to make more money. Because I can't live off of that. Again, that is not a logical response to why you think you should make more money. It has to be encouched in terms of, I am doing A, I expect to be paid B. You are simply saying, I expect to be paid A, regardless of what I do. I need $15. People in hell need ice water. Nobody's ever stopped them and said, you know what, people in hell seriously want some ice water. Could do with some rain. Could do with the umbrella. But for some reason, nobody's coming to their rescue. I want more money. I want men to stop raping women. Stop the presses. What man do you know has raped a woman? How many men do you know? You don't know any personally? Then stop talking about that. It has nothing to do with you. It's a personal issue between one woman and one man, and one man and a woman who raped him, one man and a guy who raped him. Stop talking about that issue because you're talking about crime. It's not a political agenda. You're talking about crime. The same thing should be said of, I wish people would stop burglarizing houses. We have a culture of burglarizing houses. No, we don't have a culture of burglarizing. I wish we would stop murder. We have a culture of murder. No, we don't. I wish men would stop raping. We have a culture of rape. No, we don't. That's called crime. Nobody's ever taken these idiots and said, look, that's crime. And that particular crime is actually at an all-time low throughout the history of the United States. The United States isn't that old anyway. But throughout the history of the United States, rape, violence towards women is at an all-time low. So you keep using it as a political point when in fact it's not a political point. It is a crime stat, and it is the lowest it's ever been in the history of the country. Nobody's ever taken them, shaken them and said, stop saying this idiocy. It's almost as if you wish the stat were actually higher because you keep lying and saying it is higher. 1 in 5 women. That's ridiculous. If 1 in 5 women would be raped, that literally means you would be able to walk down the street and see women get raped on the hour. On the hour. That's how ridiculous that stat is. You saying that 1 in 5 women are raped. It is ludicrous. It is outrageously stupid, ignorant, and insulting to everybody who has to even hear you say that. I want you to think and stop just for everybody listening to me. 1 in 5 women are raped. Literally, that means you would see rape going on an hourly basis. In the street, right in front of everybody. You're going to the grocery store. There's a rape. You go inside the grocery store. There's a rape. You get your stuff, pay for it, come out. There's a rape right on the sidewalk. in the parking lot. As you stop at the red light, rape. That's what 1 in 5 means. Do you know how ridiculous that is? And nobody has checked these people because 0 consequences. The insult is so stupid. You're a fool if you say something like that. And the other foolish stuff is talking about the black crime stats. There's not enough black people to go around. Do you understand that? Black people are 10% of the population. We are negligible in the population. If you ever hear some sort of stupid black crime stat, I want you to turn around to the person and say, do you know there's only 10% of the population is black? And crime in any population is only 1 out of 100,000 people. So out of 100,000 black people, 1 black person is doing crime. 1. So go ahead and do that division, and that's how many criminals that you have. Now, a lot of those criminals are repeat offenders. So not only is it 100,000 to 1, it's more like 500,000 to 1. Because if the same guy keeps repeating, he's now taking the place of a new person, right? And that's how the actual data works. And when you look at the data, that's what you see. Oh, these people have repeated crime 5 times, 8 times. So any data that you, any of the stuff that you hear is, black people are more likely. No, they're not more likely. You have the same person doing 10 different crimes. You have the same person doing 8 different crimes. You have the same person doing 5 different crimes. That means that's one person. 3 people who just wiped out 40 numbers. What does that mean? That means that the other 40 quote unquote people that should have been aren't there. So this whole rate stuff, it's first of all, it's all a lie. When you look at the raw data, it's not there. There are not enough black people to go around. Oh, welfare is a majority of black people. No, it's not. There's more white women on welfare than there are black people in the United States. More black people are on food stamps. No, it's not. It's an impossibility. It is a mathematical, numerical impossibility because there are just not enough black people. More crime is committed by